Hello everyone, my name is Apiwe Ngusani Mawela, also known as the Brewster. Thank you so much for tuning in into another episode of A Drink with the Brewster. We are still celebrating Africa Month. We just started last week Friday, and unfortunately I didn't see as much activity as I'd hoped. I think people are so tied up with the lockdown that they actually really forgot that we are actually in Africa Month. To celebrate, to keep on with our celebrations, today we are joined by a lady from Rwanda, Jessi Flynn, who is she goes by many titles. I think like everybody else in the beer industry space, you never have one title. Welcome, Jessi. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you, be able to chat and see how everything's going with everything going on.
Yeah, hey, I know me and you, we actually have not physically met, but we've known each other and we talk like, we've known each other forever and ever. I was supposed to meet you when you came down for the Africa Brew last year, eh?
Yeah. Here's my Africa Brew cup.
I'm using my Clarence cup. Oh, anyway, please tell us what you're having, Jessi.
I'm drinking a goza today. It's sours seem to go over pretty well here, and so I was testing a couple of just different gozas, one with fruit, one without, kind of seeing where it goes. So it was kind of a little bit of a market test / something that I like.
And are you using local fruits or just normal? Nothing like not local indigenous fruits only. It's just like an open.
Yeah, well, this one doesn't have fruit in it, but the last one was mangoes here local to Kigali. The idea with the brewery is to do everything as local as possible, which the lockdown has been great for, right? Because it's like if you can't get it, you can't brew it. So if anything, we've
welcome to Africa.
Yeah. So it's been great.
Okay, so I'm having one of the beers I make. Sorry, it's a sorghum pilsner. So at the end, we've been on the lockdown for a while now. So I'm trying to finish off last bits of stock, cleaning out fridges at the brewery, trying to it's quite difficult. But I think let's go back to talking about, I know there's a story behind the brewery. I think maybe first thing, if you can just give us a bit of background, who Jessi is, where you come from, how you got to be in Rwanda, how long. And also just mentioning the actual the brewery itself.
Sorry, you got muted there for a minute. I heard the very beginning of the question, but can you repeat that?
Oh, sorry about that. No, I was just asking if you can please take us through who Jessi is, how long you've been in Rwanda, what have you been up to in Rwanda, the brewery itself, and just the story behind the brewery.
Yeah, sure. I've been in Rwanda for 3 years. I originally came here. I'm a landscape architect by trade. And so I came here originally to work on the design of a couple of campuses, University of Global Health Equity, Rwanda Institute for Conservation Agriculture. So that's what brought me over. And then through that process, I got involved with this project, Kweza Craft Brewery, that was started through Bose Brewery in Bose Craft Brewing in Canada. And so a while back they had done a Kickstarter with a Rwandan woman, Fina, to get the first craft brewery started in Rwanda. And for various reasons, people had to step away. And so it was still sitting there waiting for somebody to do something. And they got in touch with me. They found out that I'm a craft brewer and I was here. And so selfishly I said, well, yeah, I'll help because I need good craft beer if I'm going to be here for a while. So I got involved, I don't know, a year and a half ago or so, just kind of helping out, trying to figure out what we would need to get a brewery started. looking for people to get involved, etc. And then back in, I think October is when I really started working on it full time. So I put my design career kind of on hold while the brewery takes off. And so, yeah, that's right now I'm the head of Kweza Craft Brewery, trying to just get us launched. We're about to import some pilot equipment so that we can really test market while we do our big capital fundraise for larger equipment and find out what people like. So day by day.
So that gives you enough time to kind of test and drink in during that process. And then in terms of the brewery itself, like how many are you obviously working with local people? I know you have somebody coming in from Zimbabwe, one of the ladies that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few guys coming in from Rwanda also.
Right, it's a combination. The major background of Kweza was to have a women-owned and led craft brewery. So we're still trying to adhere to that as much as possible. As you know, being women in the brewing industry is difficult to begin with. So we're really trying to make sure that we encourage women kind of into just the industry, not for beer or anything, but it's like here's a whole industry where women are a very small minority. And so just trying to stay true to that and to create an environment in which women can come and ask questions and feel comfortable asking that and feel supported. So we, as you've met Chiaza, she's Zimbabwean and has been helping out with the brewing. And then Patrick, he's a Rwandan guy, also loves beer, had a chance to intern in some breweries before. So we've been really kind of playing with recipes together, things that we know from different places, just being kind of creative. And as you know, reaching out to people like yourself and saying, hey, if you want to try this, what do you think? Do you have any advice? So really it's a crew of us that's kind of, wants a craft brewery here. And while we're not experts in the field, we're just interested in trying to get it to start. So we're trying to create a community of people that are helping us get started and figure out how to do it here.
Okay. And then you guys are obviously also trying out a lot of the local ingredients. That's something I actually love about what you guys are doing. The fact that you are based in Rwanda and trying to use as many of the local ingredients as you can, because obviously you can't get everything that you would need for your brewing. So how has that been going, and how has the reception been like from the people, from the locals?
So far, it's been a lot of fun. I wouldn't say it's been easy. Because Rwanda doesn't have a craft brewing industry, we can't just go down the street and buy some malts or hops and hops don't. But really from the beginning, it hasn't been about how do we just recreate a German beer in Rwanda. It's about what is beer in Rwanda. So traditionally, people make sorghum beer here, make banana beer and banana wine. So we were really looking at how do we work with what people like to begin with and mix that with more modern techniques, mix it with different ingredients, and really create something that's very unique to a craft scene here, so that if you go to a craft brewery in Rwanda, it will be different than anywhere else you go on the face of the earth.
It's very aligned to like, I think one of my passions is that I think as Africans we need to create uniquely African beers. We need to create a unique taste that when you talk to your friends back in Boston and you tell them about the beer experience in Rwanda, you don't want to tell them about another IPA with cascade hops and citra and triple hopped and. You want to tell them about this great beer you made with banana, local bananas, local banana. I love what you guys are doing there. And what are the plans? When are you looking at launching brewery?
Well, we are currently working on getting an import from Nairobi in order to start our 50-liter test batches. And through that process, because we're the first craft brewery in the country, part of what we really need to work on is working with the Rwandan Food and Drug Administration, the health department, etc.
Which hasn't been easy.
They've been very helpful so far. I think part of it is that there's no precedent, right? So there's nobody, they can't just say, oh, here are the regulations that govern a craft brewery. We do have 2 large breweries here, but it's at a large commercial scale. So as you know, some of the things obviously very much apply, like you need to have sanitation, etc. But some of it is very different for a craft brew scale. So the next step, we hope over the next few months to really be pilot batching and doing the R&D behind what does the market like in terms of what we produce, and how can we mess with recipes, and how does the market respond to craft beer prices, etc. While we work on.
It's going to be a difficult one. I'm saying that's one of the. We have the same issue in South Africa where the price point becomes quite a bit of a sensitive discussion to have, where people are used to mass-produced beers. It's going to be quite interesting. No, I'm hoping to visit you so that we can have a beer that side. And talking about the beers in general in Rwanda, what kind of beers are they for people who have not, people like me, actually haven't been, so I need to make a plan and come visit you guys so that I can take off, can show me around, so I can also become one of the locals. But what kind of beers do people enjoy that side, and what beers are available? Do you see a lot from South Africa or surrounding countries?
I would say the supply is very limited. Rwanda is landlocked, so everything needs to come in via, over land or by air, and so it becomes very expensive. So options are pretty limited. Traditionally, like I said, there's a lot of sorghum beer and banana wine that you can get different places.
Is that commercial, or is that just like home brewed?
There's a couple of commercial varieties that have started recently. And then there's known places you can go to get it, some restaurants and things that produce good versions of it. So that's usually accessible, everywhere you are. And then kind of on the more mass market, kind of typical beer, we have Brewster and Skol here. And so they're producing the kind of the mass-produced lager that everyone likes, and but that's really your only options. So there's some imports, there's some Amstel, and now Heineken is being produced here. But the options for beer are very, very limited. When there is a place that brings in some IPAs on occasion, and they go very quickly. And so, we're hoping that there's a niche there for people that like craft beer and want something new, It's from what I've experienced here so far, Rwandans are very if it's something new, they want to try it and see how it fits in or doesn't. And so it's been great, seeing how the market responds to craft beer.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot. Apologies, I need to apologize before I do this. But I want to take you back to the very first time you had a local beer. And I want you to tell us what was your first impression.
Of are you like local banana and sorghum, or local as lagers?
No, obviously. Okay, let me say local traditional beers.
I would say, so the first time I had banana wine, I was actually like, oh, this is lovely. It's it was a little, it wasn't what I expected. When I heard banana wine, I think I expected more banana, and so then what I had was much more kind of, I don't know, earthy, I guess is what I'd describe it as, and thicker than I kind of wanted. I wanted something a little bit lighter than what arrived. But that place is still one of my favorites to go for when I do want to get some banana wine. And with the sorghum beer, it's good in that there's a sourness to sorghum, as you know, and so I like that, hence my goza. What we've kind of really been trying to figure out is how do you, use that local agricultural product, because as we've been talking about, the more local we can make it, the better. And if COVID has shown us anything, right, it's like industry, we have to localize, and we have to make it something that carries on, whether a supply line goes down or not, and keeping economies local and stable. So it's like both the background of sorghum, it makes sense to grow here agriculturally, and it's got that great flavor. So I'd say that my first tastes of the different things maybe weren't things that I would drink forever, but were things that I was like, oh, there's something in here that I'd like to figure out how to have more of in a different way.
So it was overall a good experience, huh?
I'd say so. Yeah, there was nothing that I was like, oh no, never again.
Never again. Okay. No, but I think as a brewer, you get to appreciate. I think it's more the appreciation and understanding that somebody went through the trouble of actually preparing this for me. So kind of have to find something good in it. No, I hope when I come visit, you take me to your favorite spot, and then I can also, because I've never tried it, to be honest with you, the banana wine. So when you came to South Africa, I'm sure you were made aware that we have like sorghum beer, and what I've also noticed that in South Africa, the different tribes also make it differently. So you might find that maybe like the Zulu people prefer it slightly thicker than compared to, let's say, the Ndebele people, and I think you probably find something similar as you move up the continent, like different not only countries, but within that country, the different tribes also prefer the different beers to taste differently, which is quite amazing. I think that's one of the things that I think makes Africa so lovely. So outside of Rwanda, have you traveled, and South Africa obviously, have you traveled Africa much, and how has that been?
I've been through East Africa. To Ethiopia, and then down to South Africa. So not too extensive. I haven't made it to West Africa yet, but hoping to get there one day.
Okay, I read somewhere that you're doing a lot of work with Clement from Ghana.
So I haven't actually, kind of like yourself, I haven't met him in person, but we've gotten some information. Actually, the connection came through Africa Brew on the work he's doing in sorghum, and so and Patrick has been in touch with him a lot, and so we've been kind of playing with some of his recipes and different ways to ferment and mash, etc., and just kind of trying to mix that with Rwandan techniques. So there's different bittering and yeasts that are used here, and different ways to mash in. So we've been looking at how do Rwandans make sorghum beer, how does Clement do it, and then kind of trying to come up with different hybrids and see what we can do.
Yeah, so that kind of makes something interesting, but there's still links to what people know.
Yeah, and trying to keep it local. So like there's a plant here that grows natively that is bitter leaf that's used Rwandans don't tend to love a lot of hoppiness. It's just too bitter. But the little bit of bitterness that comes in as Vernonia leaf, people like. So it's been interesting to see how do you take that and mix it with different kind of modern brewing techniques and see what comes out.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna put you on another spot, and I want to ask you, when you came down here in South Africa, which beers did you enjoy?
Because we were at Africa Brew, and so I got to drink the beers that were made by people at Africa Brew. And so I don't know if they actually had any kind of like thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was lucky.
So that means you need to come back then. You need to come back.
People kept filling things up in my glass, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it's great.
No, that means you need to come back and do a proper thorough visit of South Africa. Go to Cape Town, check out the beers there, and through Joburg, and so you mentioned that you traveled a bit into like your East African countries. Any beers that stood out for you? We're talking beer after all, so you had
I've tried a few of them, and I went to Twiga up in oh my gosh, where is it? Arusha? and got to try some of their local craft beers, and that was delicious. They had I can't remember which ones I had, but it was just good to have variety, because the lagers, I'm not a huge lager fan. I know that's kind of blasphemous to say, but
it's allowed. It's okay.
You know, they blend together, and so it was good to be able to have something just different. And other than that, I'd say the beer that stands out most in my mind is Tusker, because the first time that I ever came over to Africa, I was working in Kenya, and obviously, you know, warm Tuskers were the drink of the day.
The Tusker lager.
Yeah. So that one, you know, it's like, that's my kind of, when I think of a African typical lager, for me, it's Tusker, and then everything else kind of starts to blend together after that, except for the few standout craft beers that are here and there.
Okay. So me and you still need to you need to come visit South Africa, and then I need to come visit you.
Yes.
And then to visit West Africa.
That's right. We'll go together. We'll go see Clement.
Yes, that would be lovely. I think like in wrapping up, because we're almost out of time, like the time flew. What are your plans for Africa Month? Do you normally celebrate Africa Month? And if yes, what have you done in the past? And if no, are you planning to do something this year? I know we're on the lockdown, but you guys, your lockdown was just lifted, right?
Yeah, on Monday. Couple days ago, so it's not completely lifted. We still have restrictions, but we can at least go for a walk in the street.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can also walk. We can also walk for like an hour a day.
Yeah, I think the first night that lockdown was lifted, I had a couple people knock on my gate to come seek out if I had any beer.
Yeah, I've had those calls too. People have been like crazy. I'm like, guys, you're not allowed to sell. But you guys are selling. Is alcohol sales allowed?
Yeah, we're not selling because we're not licensed. Like Kweza itself is not selling. But alcohol, there have been no restrictions on it here during our lockdown.
Sure, there's a lot of people in South Africa who wish
right. I hope
people could leave the country.
A little bit of a lift. But yeah, to answer your
So
question.
how are you gonna celebrate Africa Month? Sorry.
I would say, I think it's just continuing, you know, like what we're doing. We're trying to start the first craft brewery in the country, and really trying to look at, especially like we've been talking about, how do you make an African beer? How do you make a Rwandan specific beer? So even today I was talking to an ecologist about, there's a native ginger that grows here, and how do we find it and propagate it so we can make ginger beer with extremely local ginger? You know, how do we make this sorghum beer? How do we just start to figure out what does craft beer mean here in Rwanda? And so I'd say that, you know, that's probably our first step for Africa Month is figuring out what beer means here, and getting going on that. And what are you doing?
Talking to you. But I'm going to be running this chat, so I am talking next week with somebody from Namibia, and then last month with somebody from Botswana, just trying to understand how other people, what are they doing in the beer space in like different parts of the continent. But for me, we don't celebrate Africa Month enough, especially in South Africa. We don't, and I think it's going to be worse now that we are on the lockdown, you know, with the pandemic and all. But if we were not, I'll probably come visit you, and we probably put it through. So that's something then we can maybe plan for the next year's Africa Month.
Oh, I would love it. And also because now you've been a pioneer in beer in so many ways. So I'm also curious if I can ask you a question. What's your advice?
We're out of time. I'm playing.
Too bad. What would you say to Rwandans in general about what they're missing out without craft beer? And what would be your advice to us trying to get started with Kweza and kind of being pioneers in many ways in this space, having been there yourself, and you've been very successful in it. I'd love to hear your advice.
No, I'm still in the process, but thank you. I personally and fully believe that Africa as a whole, we need to have our own unique ways of brewing. We've been brewing for years. So home brewing is something that is part of Africa. It's been there forever. Our mothers, grandmothers have been doing it for centuries. And I think now it's time for our generation to take that forward. And now with obviously the boom and the growth in the craft beer space, I think it's time that we can then take and see how we can actually merge the two worlds into creating something that it's still linked to our tradition and our cultures, but now takes beer to the next level. I think playing around with local ingredients, and I think one of if I was to give you any advice, I'll also say maybe apart from brewing with local ingredients, also just be careful. Obviously, because I've noticed a lot of people would say with my Southern Pilsner, but now why are you modernizing umqombothi? Because now it's going to lose its cultural meaning. So you must always try balance that because it's not about replacing or what has always been there. It's about how do we make it relevant to the times that we live in without losing its core the core reason why it's been there. So just be careful that and I think for you it's going to be more difficult because you are also somebody who's coming from outside, so people are going to probably feel like, what do you know about our culture? I don't know if you've experienced that already. Like, what do you know? We've been doing it like this. So just be aware of such things.
Yeah,
but you guys are on the right path. Sorry?
Great advice.
So, but I really need to come visit you. Then we can actually have a long chat, and drink lots of your not drink too much, but you know what I mean, and check out Rwanda and its people. I'd love to come visit you guys.
We'd love to have you come as soon as the airports are open. Come on up.
Cool. Thank you. That was our drink with Jessi from Rwanda, Kwenza Craft Brewery, the first brewery in Rwanda, and it's also the first female-led brewery. So it's a brewery of many firsts, and they're doing great things there in Rwanda. And it was such a great pleasure to have a chat with her. And we'll be visiting her, and we'll probably have another session, a drink with the Brewster in Rwanda. So thank you so much for tuning in. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.